Um, Golda Meir, who's the former prime minister back in the late 60s of Israel, I think her quotes have been misunderstood. I do. And I think even to this day. And by some that know what she meant. So, in an interview in 1970, she said, "When were Palestinians born? What was all of this area before the First World War when Britain got the mandate over Palestine? What was Palestine then? Palestine was then the area between the Mediterranean and the Iraqi border. East and West Bank was Palestine." So there's no disputing Palestine existed. I mean, if you really want, it's equivalent to a suburb of Chicago, okay? "I am a Palestinian," she said. "From 1921 and 1948, I carried a Palestinian passport. There was no such thing in this area as Jews and Arabs and Palestinians. There were Jews and Arabs." And the interviewer said, "You deny that there was a Palestinian Arab people before. But there is now a Palestinian liberation movement, and the history of liberation movements are that they grow. Won't this one grow and become, in the end, your biggest enemy?" And Golda Meir said, "I don't say there are no Palestinians, but I say there is no such thing as a distinct Palestinian people." And she was asked if she stood by the comments, and she replied, "I said there never was a Palestinian nation." Because again, Palestinian, you look at it as a suburb, really a suburb of the Middle East in general. So here's where it's twisted, okay? So stay with me. The Palestinians are Jews. You want proof for this? If they were Arab, then why wouldn't Jordan or the other surrounding Arab countries let those people leave? Right now, they're not letting them in. They're supposedly bringing in, like the UN says they're doing all the time when these wars break. It's so stupid. The UN makes everything worse. They don't want to let them in because they're Jews. That's why. And their people in Jordan or Egypt would have a field day. If they were Arab, their people would be demanding that all those Palestinians be let into the country. This is also why Hamas takes up residence within the Palestinian people, because they're Jews. Yeah. So here's how the game gets played, okay? It works to their advantage no matter what. You put corrupt Netanyahu, okay? And as far as I know, I don't think Golda Meir was corrupt. I really don't. I think she was about protecting Israel. I could be wrong, but again, she's the one that sent Mossad agents back after the Olympic Games in the 72, and she went in. She had those Mossad agents go into Iran and kill every single one of those people behind those innocent Olympian players being murdered. So she was a tough woman. I mean, I give her a lot of credit. So, but I think her quotes have been misunderstood and twisted. And so what she's saying is she's saying she's from Palestine. There's not Palestinians, Arabs, and Jews. There's Arabs and Jews. That's it. So so people have heard for years now about these open air prisons in Palestine. Those open air prisons are filled with Jews. If they were filled with Arabs, then Jordan, Egypt, Iran, all those surrounding countries would bring their Arab native people into their country. They don't. They find all these excuses. They always do. So they're Jews. So when these pro-Palestinian people get out there, what are they really getting out there for? And I mean the ones that know what they're doing. Your Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, AOC. What are they really fighting for? Well, because as long as they take that side that these are Palestinians, well, then more Jews get killed. They do, because think about it. You have Netanyahu, who's corrupt, okay, who lapsed in, who's under investigation, has been, who's changed his judicial system in his country, okay? So clearly I don't think he's about protecting the Jewish people. He's not. And then everybody is saying he should be allowed to go in and annihilate. No, they want, this is your military-industrial complex, using that these people have a right to exist. What about the, and see, don't get me confused here, because I'm not taking a side. Actually, I'm taking the side on the fact that people have a right to exist, and the Palestinians are not a separate divided group here. They're Jews. So the same can be said for Israel. Why doesn't Israel let those Jews into Israel? Let them out of that Palestinian area. Why do they keep them in open-air prisons? Well, could it be because of their leadership? Could it be because of Netanyahu? I mean, it's the only thing that makes sense, but you have to use the wheels up here. You have to do some thinking, okay? Because why? I mean, it's always been a question to me. Why would Hamas want to see their own people killed? Not that that surprises me. Terrorist organizations don't care. But if these are Arab people, the Palestinians, then all the surrounding Arab countries would let them in. They never do. And then Israel doesn't let them in either, and yet it's because they're Jews. And because the leadership running Israel is no better than Hamas. Yet our media here likes to tell us how they have a right to exist. Well, what about the Jews in Palestine? Because this idea that Palestine did exist, it just wasn't a nation. It was like a suburb of the Middle East, or of the Jordan or Egypt. That's what it is. I mean, so Golda Meir wasn't ripping on Palestinians. Golda Meir wasn't saying something racist. What she was saying is in this area there were Jews and Arabs. They want this little section, and the Arabs don't want them to have it. Now many of the Arab leaders, they want peace. They do. Because I think most people that have common sense, not most of our higher educated in this country, of course, but that have common sense can see that, this is a little section of land that the Jewish people are living in. And Golda Meir made another quote. She said, the one thing we have over the Arabs is that we have nowhere else to go. They don't have anywhere else to go. So some people say, well, they could come to America. They want this. It goes back to the Bible. It does. I mean, this is Exodus. God took the Israelites out of Egypt, where they were enslaved, and took and made them a land. So yes, I understand that people that don't believe, I don't care about that stuff. But that's, I don't know how you can't see how the Bible's true from all of this. But this is also how that wicked one, the prince of the air, the prince of darkness, whatever you want to call him, all the different descriptions Jesus gave of that energy, is that it's perfect. Keep a bunch of Jews in Palestine in open air prisons, but call them Palestinians, and make the world believe they're a separate category. They're an Arab group. No, they're not, because if they were, again, Jordan would let them in. So would Egypt. They're not. They know their people in their countries would rise up if they let those Jews in. But then you have to say, well, then why wouldn't Israel let all those Palestinians in? So Golda Meir is right. There's no distinction. Those are Jews in those open air prisons. That's how much our media and all these people, and you see them, all those promoting that Israel has a right to defend itself. What? To take down a bunch of Jewish people in Palestine? Yeah, that's how the military-industrial complex does it.